Hi, sorry, I'm just getting set up. Hey, thanks for having me.
No, thank you for being here. And you are dialing in from Manchester, is that right?
Yes, indeed, from Manchester, where Factory International and Aviva Studios is based.
Fantastic. So if there's any schools in Manchester here, guys, let us know in the Q&A. Say hi. Okay, so Kieran, do you want to start by introducing yourself? Tell us who you are, what you do, and what is Factory International for those that don't know?
Yeah, perfect. So, my name's Kiran. I'm from Manchester myself, and I work at Factory International. The work I do specifically is for Factory Academy. Factory Academy, kind of like the name suggests, it's an educational arm which focuses on skills and training. And our main goal is to help as many people as possible to access the creative industries, the cultural industries. And the way we do that is by providing free to access education with a creative focus. So, I joined all the way back in January 2020. So for the past 5 years, what I've been doing is developing kind of courses and programs that are focused on specific things. So I'll tell a bit more about Factory International, but the building that we run is a state-of-the-art building that's just opened. And with that comes loads of amazing events. Music, most recently, some artists that you might recognize, Spontane's DC. They did a run of free shows that were completely sold out. We've got FK Twigs coming up in March. So we have a big music offering, but as well, we do amazing state-of-the-art exhibitions. So for those who are into art, we've just had David Hockney do a complete sellout run of about 20 days, projecting his work into the building. And we opened the building with a very famous Japanese artist called Yaya Kusama. So there's so much amazing artwork going in the building, but to make that happen, we need people. That's the biggest thing that connects it all together. We need people, and to get people in the building, we run courses focused on things like how you set up a stage, how you do the lighting, how you do the sound, but also other jobs you haven't maybe considered, which is who are the people making it possible for the artists to even do their shows. And those are people called producers who are kind of the brains behind the operation, the one who is solving, fixing all these problems. So I think one of the most important things to know is that although you might just see the artist and the performance behind that is a group of people, professionals with specific skills that are really necessary for it all to happen. And we try and help people, particularly from underrepresented backgrounds, to access this information so they can have professional careers in this sector. So if that's something you're considering, we're really gunning for making sure that young people have access to these opportunities.
Absolutely. And it's for free. Like that is,
Yeah.
remember that bit.
Yep.
Also, the building itself, sorry, I'm going slightly off piece from the question.
Yeah, you go for it.
I want to communicate to everyone how amazing this building is. You have the educational stuff going on. You
Yep.
also have, yeah, like you say, lots of like cultural exhibitions. You've got artists coming in, stuff like that. But there is also a commercial element to it as well, isn't there?
It's so complex as an operation because if you think of maybe Wembley Arena, there's only one purpose for it, and that is profit, which is completely fair enough. Events, culture, the biggest artists, the biggest football teams. Whereas we're trying to do groundbreaking art. We're trying to create things that haven't been done before, which is both exciting and horrifying in equal measure because you never know what the end product will be and whether people will resonate it in the same way as, say, a Taylor Swift concert. But that's the challenge that we try and do is create one-off kinds which really resonate with people. But the commercial part is really important because it helps to be the sort of the monetary value that helps us to put on the more crazy stuff. And I think a few examples of that is we recently collaborated with Adidas. And Adidas, as you all know, sportswear, but they're really keen on culture. And what we did was we created a skate park in the building. And over the course of 2 weeks, we programmed that whole space. So we had young people and old people learning how to skateboard for the first time. We had professional skaters obviously using the space. But what we also did was we worked with other brands as well. There's a really famous brand in Manchester called Drama Core, which maybe some of you are wearing right now. I don't know, but it's getting really massive. And there was like a day where they did a whole drop and releasing new clothes, people getting freebies, free Adidas shoes. So yeah, as much as it's arts and culture, like you just said, there's a real commercial strand to making sure that we can do what we want to do.
Which I just love though, because it does feed into what's current, what's new, all that stuff.
Yep.
I mean, what a dynamic, what a cool place to work. Um,
Yeah.
so let's talk a bit about your journey. So how did you, I guess, get from school to working in Factory International?
Yeah, so I went to a school called Chorlton High School, and I was there from 2003 to 2009, and it was at the time kind of funded for art. So I was really fortunate that we had our own sort of theatre space where bands could play and stuff. I was really into music myself, playing guitar, so I was part of a band. And the other lucky thing I would say is that being into music, being in Manchester, there's been a real historical element to our music scene dating back decades. So when I wanted to do music, there was already receptive people and supportive people and venues that would have us play. When we were 14, we supported an artist called Ian Brown, who's part of Stone Roses. I don't expect anyone to know who that is, but maybe ask your parents who Stone Roses are, and they might tell you, because they at one point were a very influential band, not just in Manchester, but the world. So there was opportunities there, and yeah, always into music. And then as I got older, that love for Indian rock turned into sort of electronic music, so drum and bass, dubstep, house music, and got into DJing. And yet again, when you get into that thing, there's already a scene there for you to get involved in. So there was a club open at the time called Sankey's, which was really famous around the world, had opportunities to play there, sadly closed. But if it wasn't there, there was always a place for them to want a group of young people to come and put on nights. So if you are thinking about that, realize that you do have value by being able to bring a crowd in, whether it is because of your gigs or performing at a club night. And then yeah, when the time came, I decided to go to university after a couple of years out. I studied music and history at Leeds University and combined all those passions there where I'd perform still. Um, so yeah, it's always been a really important thing to me, creativity. But when I actually left uni, I didn't directly go into that. I went into education. So I went back to my old high school to be a teaching assistant and work with young people with special educational needs because I realized actually it wasn't just music that got me energized, it was helping people. And I get energized. And I think this is something you all need to consider now. What gives you that spark? What gets you really excited about things? And for me, it's the connection with another person, knowing that the work that I've done has somehow directly contributed to their development or their sense of well-being. So from there, everything I've done has been about helping people to fulfill their potential. So I set up a office for a social mobility charity in Manchester. Social mobility, for those who maybe don't know what that means, that's about making sure that if you're born in this country and you may be not well off, you still have opportunities to progress and make the living that you want for yourself and maybe your family. So I'm really key on that because my family background was we moved to this country, we didn't have much. But through education and opportunity, which is what I believe in, yeah, all of my relatives have managed to create careers for themselves that they're all really proud of. So from after setting up this social mobility charity in Manchester, I moved to Spain for a year and I taught English. It was just to have a bit of fun. I wanted to see if I could learn Spanish. I learned how to speak Spanish. There you go. And then after that, I moved to a country called Nicaragua, which I'm sure very few of you would have heard of. It's in Central America, so below Mexico, but above places like Brazil, right in the middle. And then I set up a whole sort of community project there, helping people to access education, but also infrastructure like clean drinking water and stuff like that. And then I came back and I experienced unemployment, which wasn't the funnest thing. So for 7 months, I was looking for work, but in that time, I kept doing things. I kept volunteering my time at food banks, teaching English. And then I finally found Factory International, Factory Academy, applied, and I've been here ever since.
Oh my goodness me. I mean, Kiran, you do not look old enough to have such a varied career path, is what I'd say first. Um,
Yeah,
but like you were saying, throughout all of that, it's very clear that there is a love of, creativity,
yeah,
technical kind of creativity stuff, but then also helping people. I mean, the
yeah,
entire way through, you are doing things, going out of your way to create opportunities for other
yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's what it's all about. And you don't have to be in a position of power to do that. You can be a friend to someone and support them and mentor. You can do all these things without having to be a professional. It's something we all have the power to do, which is to open doors and support one another.
Absolutely. And I think it's important for the people watching to take away from this that you are not going to sit there and wait for someone to bring something to you. There is stuff that you can get involved in all around you. You just have to go out and look for it and go and find it. Just like you've done the whole way through. You went out and got,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I think that's so important is I think when you're younger, you expect that you have to wait for all the doors to be open for you. when really at any level you can be doing, and that can lead to the doors in the future opening. I think a really good example is my brother actually. When he was younger, he just started a radio show on a community radio. So maybe getting 10 listeners wasn't exactly setting the world on fire, but he kept doing it for years. And because of that radio show, he was managed to apply to the BBC and get a job. And now he's the social media manager for BBC Sports. So sometimes I get a message going, I'm off to Saudi Arabia to watch Tyson Fury fight with Usyk, or I'm off to the World Cup. And that was all because of him doing something at a level you might not perceive to be that great, a community radio station. But what it will demonstrate in the future to employers is your initiative. So don't worry about the quality or the standard of the experience. Just make sure you find it in whatever way, even if it's as simple as setting up your own gig in your own local community centre. It still demonstrates a lot.
Absolutely. And you set up your own social
Yeah,
mobility stuff, didn't you? And
yeah,
then when you were unemployed, you were
yeah,
looking for stuff to keep you occupied.
yeah, exactly. And I think it can say a lot more about you, about the things you do voluntarily as well. So if you are struggling to find work that pays, I think it's a real um, yeah, it's a real positive to know that regardless of money, I know it's the most important thing to keep you going, but regardless of money, you would still be doing these things anyway, is a real testament to your character.
Absolutely. Okay, well, what do you love most about your job? And also, what
Yeah.
I guess do you find most difficult? Because every job has good and bad stuff.
No, it's a really good point. What I like about my job is we're kind of like a startup in this business, so we have a lot of control. I can meet people and take an idea and turn it into a course quite quickly. So, meeting with groups where they go, actually, the issue in music right now is that we don't have enough promoters. And I go, okay, I've listened to this. How can I find some funding and create the next course about promotion? And that's what I'm going to be doing this afternoon, meeting with a group to talk about it. So, I really like the independence that I have to be able to create things and see it come to life. One of the things I'm proudest of is I noticed that at a leadership level within this industry, there's not a lot of diversity. So what I did was I created a whole course about future cultural leaders where I took 10 people from backgrounds that weren't represented, and over 12 weeks really instilled the fact that you are a leader. You don't need the title. You don't need to be given the title of president or prime minister to be a leader. You are just by God-given right, someone who can influence and make a positive difference. And from that, I've seen a lot of people from that course go on to things. So I'm really proud about the impact it can make. Um, Frustrations, I think that if you're passionate about something, you want to see it all happen quickly.
Yeah.
Um, and the reality of any change is it does take time. And this is something that I think for young people is particularly frustrating, because you might be being held back by still being in school. You might be being held back by your peer group or your family. It could be anything, but change takes time. And as long as you stay on your path, change will happen. But it can be frustrating because if you're like me and you're really passionate, you want things to happen sooner rather than later. So that's the only frustration, but that's going to be anywhere.
Yes, absolutely. And that is a piece of advice in itself. There's always
Yeah.
good bad stuff. The bad stuff, hopefully, is not as bad as the good stuff, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
One is better than the other. Okay, so we've only got a couple of minutes left. So obviously now is the chance to plug anything that Factory International have coming up that you want people to apply to. Remember, this is going on YouTube afterwards as well, so there will be more people watching it.
Hey, perfect. So we're going to be running a Creative Careers Festival on 3rd of April. So that's going to be at Aviva Studios, and we'll include things like a panel with the CEO of Factory International, John McGrath, who's an amazing individual who's got fantastic experience to share with you. We'll be doing CV drop-ins, so if you have a CV, you can come and get some feedback. We'll be doing speed mentoring, which is a great chance for you to network and meet loads of different professionals from different backgrounds who hopefully can either support you or give you some information to help you make those informed decisions. Going to have masterclasses, things for fun, food, drink. So that's going to be 3rd of April, and I can share the link if you're able to share it with schools, completely free of charge. It'll be between the hours of 1 till 4. We do have courses that are starting next week. So actually, we don't have anything open to apply to. But actually, Eric have been a massive support for Factory Academy. So when we do have courses, please check through the Eric app and you'll be able to find anything that we're doing through there.
Yes, amazing. We always like to promote what you guys are doing on TikTok as well. I think you were one of my first viral videos on TikTok, you know? So I've got
Amazing.
you to thank. Okay, well, that's all we've got time for, Kiran. It's been amazing having you here. What a journey! I can't believe how many places you've lived in. Thank you so much. So many words of wisdom there. I am going to make you an attendee now because we've got to let in the next speaker.
No worries.
Thank you so much for joining us. Have a
Thanks
lovely
for having me. Good
day.
luck.